Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and having a really good week so far. I can't believe it, but we've just hit 500 subscribers and I just wanted to say a massive thank you for all of your support and encouragement because it really does mean the world to me. Today's video is a huge makeup declutter, and as some of you will already know, I started a makeup no-buy at the beginning of the year. I just want to make the most of my collection and really enjoy using it. For me, the first step to doing that is to have a massive declutter and get rid of all of the expired makeup out of my collection. So this declutter is a little bit different. I've already pulled out all of the makeup that I want to get rid of in this huge box here. I'm going to talk through everything with you about why I think these products haven't worked for me, so I can learn from this and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes in the future. And I'm also going to keep a running total in the corner here of the monetary value, because this is what really hits home to me. It's going to be really helpful on my no-buy to work out how much money that I've actually wasted on makeup when I've just let it sit there and expire. So grab yourself a drink, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the video. So I have all of the stuff laid out here behind me, and I think the first thing that I'm going to start with is eyeshadow palettes. I have both the Naked 2 and Naked 3 palette from Urban Decay, and I was so excited to get these palettes when I first bought them. The first palette that I bought was the Naked 2, and I want to say that I've had this in my collection now for maybe 9 to 10 years. I think that I bought it around 2011, 2012, something like that. And I did like it when it first came out. I do like the tones in this. I just think that at the time I was more into my single eyeshadows and I used my matte palette a lot more. I don't think it really got the love that it maybe deserved. But now, because it's so old, I think even if I did try it again, it's not going to perform to its best. So I think that it's time that I let go of this palette. Similar story with the Naked 3. I think my mum actually bought my sister and I one of these each for Christmas one year. I do really like the tones in this palette. I do gravitate to these cool tones, sort of pinky mauves nowadays, but same as the first one, it's long expired. I think I've probably had this for maybe 8 years or so. So the shades are not going to perform to its full potential, and I have a lot of other eyeshadow palettes in my collection that have these types of tones, so it is unfortunately time to part ways. The next few palettes are from Too Faced, and at one point Too Faced were my go-to brand for eyeshadows. I do like a lot of these palettes, but they're just long expired and it's time to let them go. The first one being the Chocolate Bar palette, and this was my go-to everyday palette, especially these two shades in the middle here. Salted Caramel in the crease with Marzipan on the lid. Absolutely stunning look for everyday. But I just think now I've got so many palettes in my collection, I can't really justify having these older ones when they're sort of 6-7 years old. The next palette is the Chocolate Bonbon palette, and I did actually buy this by mistake. I remember going to Debenhams to buy the original chocolate bar and I accidentally bought this one, but I didn't realise until I'd got home. And where I went wrong, I think, is I should have just returned it to the store, but at the time I thought, oh, it's still quite a nice palette, I might get my use out of it, but I should have gone with my initial gut feeling, because this, to be honest, has hardly been used. I've probably used it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and it's been in my collection for a good maybe 6-7 years. So if I've not got the use out of it before, it's long expired now. This is definitely something that I regret purchasing, not because it performs badly, just because it didn't go with my makeup style at the time. This next one is the Sweet Peach palette, and I remember being absolutely obsessed with this when it first came out. It has got a really beautiful colour story. There's a nice mix of colours and neutrals, and also there's a good blend of mattes and shimmers in here. I think the reason that I didn't get as much use out of this is purely because I started buying so many different eyeshadow palettes. I think if I'd have stuck to 1 or 2, this probably would have been like a go-to palette in my collection, but unfortunately it didn't get used as much as it should have done. So now that I've had it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I think that I need to retire it. Next is the White Peach palette from Too Faced, and when I first bought this I thought that I was going to get so much use out of it, but unfortunately it just didn't work out that way. I think that when I tried to create looks with this I just didn't gravitate to this colour story at all, and I think some of these shades, they just didn't differentiate much when they were on the eye, and because of that I just did not pull for it. Unfortunately I think it was a waste. It's long expired now and it's time to declutter. Next we have the Too Faced Life's a Festival palette, and this is not really my makeup style at all, but I bought this along with other things from this collection because I wanted to do a review for my YouTube channel. So this collection launched I think just under 3 years ago. That is how long I wanted to have a channel for, but I only plucked up the courage to upload my first video about 7 months ago. So this has not been used at all. It was just a complete waste of money. It's a very colourful palette. Now it's sort of 3 years old. I do have other colourful palettes in my eyeshadow collection, so I think that I just need to let go of this one. Next I have two MAC Mineralised eyeshadow quads, and these are in the shades A Glimmer of Gold and Medley of Mauves. I think these have been discontinued from MAC for quite a while now, but I didn't get as much use out of them as I would have hoped. I did enjoy how they performed, but I just didn't reach for them, I guess. Probably because I had too much stuff in my makeup collection. They were forgotten about and maybe pushed to the back of the drawer. I will be decluttering a few items from MAC, but I am going to be using the Back to MAC programme, so I am going to save them until I need a new lipstick at some point in the future and then take them to the MAC store. Next I have the Kat Von D Shade and Light Cream Contour Palette, and I'm just going to come out and say it, this was a massive waste of money for me. I think that I've only used this shade here at the top maybe once, and I haven't even touched the rest of the shades in here. Not because the product was bad, it was just that I wasn't used to using cream products at that point. I probably would have got a lot more use out of the powder contour palette. I had my makeup done at Kat Von D and I really loved the look that the makeup artist did on me, and she used this product, and I think I just impulse bought in the moment without really thinking about it. But this is something that I definitely regret purchasing. I've probably had that palette for 4 or 5 years now and used it once in that time, so that was an absolute waste of money. This is a MAC pigment in the shade Vanilla, and I do really love this product. I think it gives you the most glorious inner corner highlight. But I purchased this when I had a makeup lesson just before I got married, and I've just celebrated at Christmas my 10-year wedding anniversary, so this is super old. There is no way that I would get through a pigment this size even in 10 years. And I think that what I've learned is, although you think that you're getting a good deal by buying the larger one, because it seems like you are getting more pigment per pound, if you're not going to use it and it's going to end up in the bin, you are actually better buying the mini size. So I have repurchased this, but it is in the smaller size. Finally, to finish off eyeshadows, I have these 3 eyeshadow sticks from Bobbi Brown. This full-size one's in the shade Sand Dune, and that is a really nice everyday wearable shade. And I think that I got these 2 mini ones as part of her holiday collection one year. They are nice products, but I think now they've just expired. I've had them probably about 5 or 6 years and they've started to dry out, so I think it's time to put these in the bin. Moving on to foundations, I have the Extraordinary foundation from Ciate London and the Born This Way from Too Faced. Both of these are beautiful foundations, but where I went wrong is I wanted to review them in a video and I didn't wait to be shade matched, so I ordered them online. They're just far too dark for my complexion, and as a result I just never reach for them, but they are a big waste of money. If I could go back in time, I would absolutely go and get shade matched in store first. This is the Chanel Vital Lumiere foundation, and I bought this after watching a Fleur de Force review. She really raved about the foundation and liked it a lot, but this is where you have to take reviews with a pinch of salt, because what works well for one person doesn't work for another, and that was definitely true in this case for me. I think that somehow my skin seems to absorb this foundation, so by lunchtime it was looking quite patchy. Also, my own personal taste is a medium to full coverage foundation, and this is definitely a light to medium well, medium if you build it up, but a lot lighter coverage than I personally would choose to have. So I'm just going to write this off to a bad decision, even though that it was quite expensive, and this has just got to be decluttered. Next, I've got the Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation in the shade 150, and also the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in the shade 5. Both of these are absolutely stunning foundations. They have expired now, but I haven't got much left in the bottle at all, and I probably would repurchase both of these in the future. This is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear in the shade Deauville, and I'm sure I've spoken about this in a previous video, but the shade just wasn't quite right for me. It just sat that little bit too yellow on my skin. For that reason, I just never reached for it, and it was a complete waste of money. I have repurchased it now in a couple of new shades, so hopefully if I can get the shade match right, this will become one that I use quite often. These are the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation and Concealer. I do really love both of these products. I talk about them quite often on my channel, but the reason these need to be decluttered is because they're in my fake tan shade, and I just never really bothered to fake tan, if I'm honest with you. I'm fair, and I'm okay with being fair, so for that reason they've expired now. Just need to get rid of them. Moving on to powders, this is the Hello Flawless from Benefit in the shade Honey, and this was just that little bit too dark for me. You can probably see now I'm holding it next to my face, but what I'm seeing now is I have picked the wrong shade over and over again, and that seems to be a big reason why a lot of these products are not working for me. I also have the Bobbi Brown powder in the shade Pale Yellow and the MAC Mineralised powder in the shade Medium. Both of these are beautiful powders. You can see that I've hit pan on this one, and I'd also repurchased the mineralised one a couple of times. I just think that as I've got older and tried different things, other powders work better for me, and that's the reason that I don't pull for these anymore. Next we have bronzers, and this is the Hoola Quickie Contour Stick. It was actually a repurchase, and I really loved this product the first time that I bought it, but when I bought this one, I'm not sure if it was a faulty batch, but the stick broke quite soon after I opened it. I think I'd used it maybe twice before that happened, and it just really put me off from using the product. I've really enjoyed using both of these bronzers. You can see that I've hit pan on this one, and I'm pretty close to hitting pan on this one as well. They've just been in my collection for far too long now. They've definitely expired, so time to let go. I've got 3 mascaras that I'm going to be decluttering. This one from L'Oreal, I have another one from Clinique, and also the mini Bad Girl Bang from Benefit. I love the Bad Girl Bang mascara, is one of my favourites, but I have a full size one in my collection. This one's been open for quite a while, and I would say that it's probably dried out now. It's a bit past its best. But these two I've probably used once or twice. They were okay, they weren't bad, but I just didn't like them as much as some of the others that I had in my collection. But because they've been open, they've expired, and now time to get rid. I've got 2 brow products, both of them are from Benefit. The first is the Foolproof Brow Powder, and secondly I have the Ka-Brow. Both of these are in the shade 3. This one's not a bad product, it's just down to personal preference. I prefer to use either a pencil or a pomade on my brows, but the powder was part of a bigger set, and it was actually better value for me to buy the full Benefit set rather than, you know, the individual products. So I thought that I'd give it a try, being as I'd got it anyway, but just not for me. The Ka-Brow pomade I do really like. It's one of my favourite brow products. You can see how much I've used out of that jar, but it does take ages and ages to use this stuff up. It has dried out now. I think it is past its best, so I am going to get rid of this one because I have got other things in my collection that I can use for my brows. There's 2 eyeliners that I'm going to be decluttering today. The first is the Longwear Gel Eyeliner from Bobbi Brown. This is in the shade Black Ink. This was my go-to gel eyeliner for years and years and years. I think I've repurchased this at least 4 times. I have used up most of the pot, but it's just starting to dry out now. It's past its best, and I have got other eyeliners in my collection that I can use instead of this. So I think there's no point trying to eke it out any longer using Duraline. I just need to draw a line under it and declutter it. The second is the Anti-Precision Liner from Kat Von D, and this was the collaboration that she did with Billie Joe from Green Day. I love Green Day, I have done ever since I was at school, so there was no way that I wasn't going to buy this. I do really like the product. I think that it's quite fun, and I do like that sort of rock warning smoky eye that you can achieve by using this, but it's not a look that I can go to every day, and it is quite old now, so you know, you can see I've got a lot of product left in there. Unfortunately I didn't, you know, get as much use out of this as I would have hoped to. I've got 3 blushes which I'm going to declutter today. The first is Sugar Bomb from Benefit, and you can see from the state of the packaging it is well loved but absolutely battered. I think that I've almost hit pan on this shade inside, but unfortunately I think, you know, you do get pulled in other directions, you try other things, and I think I just forgot about this, if I'm honest with you, but it is a nice blush shade though. Next is a NARS blush, and this is in the shade Deep Throat. It is a really beautiful pink with a nice subtle gold reflect. I probably do like this shade more than Orgasm, if I'm honest with you, but I've had this in my collection now for many years, probably 6+ years, so it is time to let it go because it's long expired by now. Lastly, I've got this cushion blush from Lancome, and this was another YouTube made me buy it. I remember watching Hello October's video, and I think that she recommended this shade in one of her favourites. It is a nice blush, but as I said before, I don't think that I was sort of confident using cream products before, so for that reason it didn't really work for me. I didn't reach for it very often. I've definitely not got use out of this product, and it was a waste of money, if I'm honest. Moving on to lipsticks, this is a velour liquid lipstick from Jeffree Star. I don't think there's anything wrong with the actual product. I think that it performed quite well. I've just come to realise that I'm not a liquid lipstick type of person. I just find all of them too drying on my lips. I'd much prefer a cream sheen or an amplified type formula, or even a gloss. So I think that is really just getting to know myself a little bit more, not jumping on the hype and the trend, because a few years ago liquid lipstick seemed to be all anybody was talking about. So I'm just going to get rid of them. Next, I've got 13 Everlasting liquid lipsticks from Kat Von D, and I remember buying these because I wanted to do a lip swatch video for my YouTube channel that, you know, didn't actually materialise till 2 or 3 years after I purchased them, which, you know, that is a big waste of money, and a lot of these shades are very bright, so I probably wouldn't wear them in my everyday life. In fact, I know that I wouldn't really. I've probably worn them maybe once or twice at most of these. There were some exceptions though, and 3 shades that I did really enjoy wearing, and those are these shades here. The first sort of pinky shade is the shade Double Dare, and I used to get quite a lot of compliments when I wore this colour. Middle shade is Ophelia, and that is just a really beautiful neutral. And the red on the end is Santa Sangre, and that is a gorgeous, gorgeous red. I wore that to a few Christmas parties. It lasts all night, it doesn't transfer, and I would consider repurchasing that one in the future. But all of these Kat Von D liquid lipsticks have long expired now. I think I've had them for 4 or 5 years. This is in the shade Bow and Arrow, and I'm not sure whether you can see on camera, but around this area here it has started to separate and go a little bit nasty. It's nothing wrong with the product, it has just passed its expiration date, so time to put all of these in the bin. Lastly, I have 11 matte lipsticks, and these have all long expired. I think, you know, about sort of 4 or 5 years ago, it was very popular to collect matte lipsticks, and I was definitely one of those people. Lip swatch videos were very popular on YouTube, showing your MAC collection was very popular on YouTube, and I think that I just wanted to get involved. I did enjoy, you know, trying all the different colours, but some of the bright colours, I'd wear them once or twice, but they weren't really part of my, you know, day-to-day go-to makeup. For that reason I just didn't get the wear out of them, but they were really beautiful shades. Lastly, I have this matte lip gloss in the shade Between the Sheets, and this was a limited edition gloss quite a few years ago. I think it's so old now I don't think you can even see the word matte written on the side of the bottle, but it's just, you know, past that age now where, you know, I'm comfortable using it, so it's going to be decluttered. That's everything for today's video, guys. I really hope that you've enjoyed it and perhaps like seeing a slightly different way of doing a declutter. I think it's really important to understand the monetary value of the makeup that we're decluttering and throwing in the bin, because it's not something that really is often talked about on YouTube. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on my next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.